This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones at Ellis Park in Johannesburg. And this is the Rugby Championship Post-Mortem following the Wallabies' quite amazing victory over the Springboks at Ellis Park in Johannesburg. What's your immediate feeling, mate? How are you feeling? What's the feeling within the emptying stadium there now?
Yeah, top sport is weird how the thing can shift in a hurry, because I would say about 25, 30 minutes in, it was a party, it was a carnival. It felt like the tries were just going to start to roll as the Springboks camped down in the 22, won collisions, and seemed to be getting all the kick contests. And then almost just as quickly, there was a lull, and then there was a shift. And that shift, looking back, I'm not even sure I captured it when it was happening. I think I missed the shift. But then looked up and said, whoa, that's a close game. That's 19-22. And then from that point on, as Rossi said just now in his disconsolate, melancholy press conference, where he fronted up and said it was the most embarrassed he'd ever been as a coach. He apologized to the country. He said it was not just players' fault, it was his fault. He excused Tony Brown and said he wasn't the one saying overplay. He was saying we are overplaying. Why don't we kick? Why are we only kicking 9 times in the whole second half? But got it all wrong. No impact. Meek capitulated. Didn't even try to deny the bonus point. Sia Kolisi said they were fit. Didn't feel in any way tired. They were exhausted by being thwarted. So the breakdown turnovers, the line out misses, winning a scrum but not able to convert it. He said that took it out of them, but they were fresh, and I think that's true. So it was a mental thing, and the Wallabies could have capitulated down 22-0, staring at another score, which would have been 29.
Yeah.
But I gotta say that's the story of the night. The Wallabies fought like lions, like they stole the Lions' soul, and they came here to the home of the Lions, and they just would not quit. I never saw them hang their head, and there were reasons why they could have hung their head, but they didn't, and the Boks did, and that's a serious concern beyond the technical aspects.
Yeah. It's been quite incredible to watch, and I'm glad that it's probably an hour after full time now, and you've been to the presser, as you say, in taking the little bit extra time that we have. My heart was just racing for the last 20 minutes. Like I don't know what it must have been, like 150 plus. So I've actually been able to calm down a bit. It's been quite incredible to see this result. The Wallabies 38 have beaten the Springboks 22. The Australia's first win at Ellis Park since the 1960s. Just quite incredible. If you are watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed, we obviously want you to subscribe. You know, we do this every week. If you're on the pod platforms, hit subscribe, hit follow, all of that there as well. We brought the 5-word headline back through the Lion series, mate, and it's going to remain through the Rugby Championship, where once again the winning headline becomes the pod title. Good luck with this. What have you got?
Let's see.
I'll tell you mine, and you can tell me whether you need to compete or not. The headline is, "This wasn't supposed to happen."
That's good.
It just wasn't supposed to happen.
I'll capitulate and see that one just like the Boks did. All I would have come up with is something like Wallabies sack the Citadel. I mean, this is a fortress. This ground right here. It wasn't packed full, but it was full enough, and the initial vibes were so strong. The party, the bands, the music, all of it, and then it just felt like it was going to script, and then the script took a detour. It
really did. It really did. It started so easy for the Boks. They scored very early on through Kurtley Aronsa. They followed that up with Andre Esterhausen's try. That was followed up with Sia Khaleesi's try. The carries up through the middle were so strong. Even Etzebeth was so good. Van Staden was so good. The front row was so good. Peter Sepulveda was his usual self. And there was, I think, around about this sort of 20-minute mark, and the Wallabies were down 22-0. I had a look at I was curious to see what they were, the territory and possession stats. And somehow, to that point, the Wallabies had 30% possession. Now, I put the point out myself. I'm bugging if I know when that happened, because it felt like they'd played any ball at that point. And it was just, they'd spent 20 minutes defending and not defending, as the case may be. There was way too much ground played out wide. The passive defence in the 15-metre tram tracks that we saw in Brisbane through the Lion series was back, and it was horrible. It was a really, really ominous watch. But then suddenly Dylan Peach scores his try, and it didn't feel like it at the time. You're right. But suddenly that sort of got them into the contest. James O'Connor misses the conversion. There's still things going wrong. Nick Frost had another outstanding game, picked off a line out inside the Wallabies 22. James O'Connor kicks out of their own half, and he's kicked it dead. He's kicked the ball 70 metres, and it was this is going to be one of these nights again. But then it was not long after that Kellaway and Wright made a bit of a break. They got back into things, and it was 22-5 at half time. And I thought that was a massive result for the Wallabies, because there was they probably should have been down by 35 points maybe at that point, but they weren't. They'd done so well to get back in.
That was the feeling here. We thought that was sort of one of a squander, but no worry. But it did feel like that could have just as easily been 35, 36 points. And so there was no worry. When I ran into Laurie Fisher in the stairwell just now, he was so happy. And what he said was, we just couldn't catch a ball. We couldn't field the ball. We couldn't do it. And they were scoring tries of it. And he said, I don't know why that stopped. They didn't keep doing it. The Boks didn't keep doing it. But we were nowhere. And so he was so happy at the fight. Saw Joe Schmidt as well. And he was the happiest Joe Schmidt I've seen. He's not a guy that usually acts giddy, but he was with Fraser McRight, and they were just looked like two boys, chest thumping.
So just on Schmidt, he spoke to the Stan Sport crew back in Australia in the studio, and they finished off the interview by saying, after a win like that, surely you've got to find a couple of Castle Lagers and celebrate. And he just deadpanned and he said, "No, I reckon I can find something Australian." which I just love. So it just carried on, mate, through the second half. Harry Wilson scored the first of his tries. It was not long after that Icky Tau went off with that little blood injury on his knee. The Boks were put on a yellow card warning for infringing in their own 22, and that was in the, what time have I written that down? That's the 52nd minute. I don't think the Wallabies got back into the Boks 22 after that point. Everything happened from outside, and so they never really got a chance to test out whether that yellow card was going to come, and everything just came from distance for that point. Suaalii finds that intercept of his from, I still don't really know how that happened. I've seen several replays of it, and it just sort of came from nowhere. And it was a real momentum turner, mate.
Yeah, it was a lot of going wide before you earn the right. Classic mistakes. Rassi in the press conference, both in English and Afrikaans, explained that as being players sometimes when they go up 22-0 can be a little bit and quite frankly, seeing space, thinking maybe we can just put the knife in and go for broke. But it did not. But they didn't stop it. The coaches didn't stop it enough. The players continued it. And that wide just gave the Wallabies those scraps that they love. They were poised and ready to pounce. And they kind of had played that way against the Lions. So in this sense, they could just sort of replicate that same scrappy pounce on it. I think Fraser McWright talked about being plucky. It was that kind of win. It wasn't. I didn't think James O'Connor had a particularly good night. Actually, it wasn't that. It was fighting. It was scrapping. It was not that someone managed this game and won it. It was more that they never gave up and they did the very opposite of the Boks, which I'm saying the Boks capitulated. And you can look around at the dark field right now. I'm going to tell you right now, all those boxes up there are full of people. And yes, they're drinking, and yes, they're eating. And right behind me, there's a massive buffet going. But they're all going, what happened?
Yeah.
They're also they're drinking, they're eating. I mean, this is South Africa. We're not going to stop a party. And it's going to go on a long time, and no one's kicking us out. But they're all saying, what the fuck? and say in various permutations, how they were like, I didn't see that coming. So your headline.
No one did.
Yeah.
No one did, mate. No one saw this coming. Everything all week was, how big a win is this going to be? Is this going to be a record win? How big is a record win? It was going to be anything but a close contest according to expectations and everything. But somehow, I don't know. I don't know
was there someone who predicted this?
No,
not just the score, but like how it happened. I don't think so.
No.
It's truly one of those wonderful, terrible things in sport. We almost had a terrible collision on the way here, actually, and it almost is my symbol of like that could have been death, or it wasn't. And I thought sport's the same way. Like you just little tiny moments, and you don't score a try, and suddenly you're under the sticks. And there were so many moments where Belimsa had a wonderful break. Marty Lubbock had a break. They were almost away. They were just, a shoelace away.
But the pass would go behind a winger, or the pass would go into touch, or Williamson threw a couple of passes at one point that bounced, like it just did not find the mark at all. And the Wallabies, I don't know the blitz stopped from the box, but the Wallabies somehow managed to. They were playing out the back a bit, and it was sort of like they were able to get to their third pass by sort of withstanding the initial blitz and then going wide. And Jorgensen found space out wide. Wright found space out wide. Kellaway found space out wide a few times. And then there was space up through the middle for from turnover and things. Harry Wilson scores his second try off the back of a Jorgensen contest and a right line break. That
was a really funky try.
It was, Well, so the worry of
the stadium, we couldn't figure it out. We're like, how did that happen?
What happened? Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to watch replays again on Sunday and try and work that out. The worry out of that will be that Wilson went down after he scored that try, and Schmidt sort of wasn't 100% sure, speaking on TV, whether he's twisted his knee or whether it's worse. They're not 100% sure, but hopefully that's not too serious. So that was certainly a concern. Fraser McWright won his third or fourth or fifth ruck penalty soon afterwards, and then Tom Wright scores that try of his, and that's in the 76th minute, and that was it. At that point, I have had to run into a blanket or a jacket or something like that on the couch in my office and scream my head off. It was 3:00 in the morning in my house. I didn't want to wake the rest of them, but I screamed like I've never screamed. And so I'm either in trouble a little later today or I've got away with this. It was...
Well, congratulations, man.
It,
and
I can't believe what I've
enjoy
seen.
it. And congratulations, Wallabies fans, because it's one of the great wins. When you put it into the scale, into perspective, it's one of the great wins, and it should be thought of that way. This is not, obviously, from a Boks standpoint, we can fall into the trap of saying how cataclysmic it was and how sad it was. It's not Brighton, but I would also say that Brighton is not in South Africa, so it is almost that feeling of terribleness.
Yeah.
But that would lose the major point here of the Wallabies are a proud, battling team. They're warriors. They hung in. And when you give a team a chance to hang in and you don't put your foot on their neck, pretty soon their hands are around your neck. And that's what happened here. There was a moment where the Boks could have stomped it, and maybe that would have happened if you had Pollard on, or if you had someone more of a game manager. I think Marty LeBock just tried to keep winging it, and it fed right into that classic Wallaby style of never say die, hang in there, maybe it'll change, and then it changed.
Yeah. So the defense from Ikitau and Suoli in midfield was excellent. It really shut down. Andre Esterhausen was very good, and particularly in that first half an hour, he was so hard to stop. But Jesse Creel didn't see a lot of ball, I've got to say. And in the second half, neither winger saw a lot of ball for the Boks. So they managed to find some connection in midfield and defended exceptionally well. What are going to be the main lessons, do you think, for the Boks out of this? I understand Rassie's already talked about the team that he's already named internally for Cape Town is almost certainly going to change next week. So I feel like there's a reaction coming here already.
Yeah, he talks about that, and probably there were also a lot of questions in Afrikaans about the idea of the bomb squad and if it's passé, and if maybe that has been cottoned onto by the world, and so there needs to be a different thing. He was very humble about it. I feel
like that's an overreaction.
He was very humble about it, even taking a couple of absurd questions and not saying they were absurd. He actually said, yeah, I'll think about that. Someone said something like, should you fire yourself, that kind of thing. And
Jesus Christ.
And he said, we are on the chopping block. He said that, but he said that in 2018 too. And typically when that happens, you get a very focused Rassie, a very deadly Rassie, and focus. And he just said, we have to win the Rugby Championship. Adjustment is, we're not talking about winning everything. We're just saying we have to win this championship, which means, we have to win next week. A much more humble formulation.
I'm still half expecting them to win the next 5 games and win it quite well. I still think that's very much in play.
It could be the greatest wake up. I do know that sometimes teams that go up really quickly early, and it looked like butter. It looked like taking candy, 22-0. That sometimes can go against you. We've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
So maybe if you take this analogy and say, well, that's the very opposite that happened in the game itself. Now was a big smash in the face. Maybe that's the best thing for the Boks. However, even though you hear people partying and drinking and whatever, drowning their sorrows, this was very, very chastening. It was a rude awakening. And yes, the Boks had plenty of permutations to go to in team selection, but on tactics and a bomb squaditude, that was sort of like rock solid. Always outscore the other team in the last 20 minutes. Always have more fight, more desire. Sia Khaleesi talked about how they are ashamed, mortified.
Yeah.
So
it's 38 unanswered points in an hour at Ellis Park. Like it's quite unbelievable. There's conversations already on my socials. No one can think of a greater Wallabies comeback, but conversely, the opposite is also true. Can you think of a worse South African capitulation?
I mean, not lately. It's the worst loss of the Rassie era. And Rassie just said that. He said he's the most embarrassed. It's the worst. Not just because of the scoreline, and as you say, the actual way the game went, but the lack of fight. He didn't like that at all. He didn't like that there was a meekness to the loss.
Yeah.
He did point out the lineup, which we talked about in our tap and go or our preview, forget which, that was a vulnerability all year.
Yeah.
And so he obviously has to fix that. His team has to fix that. And then, he thought that you guys won the breakdown when Marcus van Staden was off. So that's also to be addressed. Yeah.
What did he have to say about the Wallabies? I'm intrigued to know about that.
Oh, he just said they played a great game. They were fierce. I think was the word he used in Afrikaans. He said that Joe Schmidt's a very clever coach, that they never thought it wouldn't be hard, but he still thinks he didn't say that they didn't deserve the win the way they did. They did, but he said he hated the way the Boks gave them opportunities to come back in. That's as, as any coach would be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about then for the Wallabies? There's still so much they can improve on. The line out went missing for about 25 minutes in the second half there. That they were getting picked off. There was still way too many turnovers. There was still way too many defensive errors, particularly in the first half, particularly in the first 20 minutes. So what's the next week look like for Joe Schmidt and the Wallabies now heading to Cape Town?
It's kind of funny. Both teams might be working on their line out for 4 days.
Yeah, true.
I love both teams could look at their line out and say, what was that? I think probably Joe has to take what happened tonight and find something that's replicable, because I don't know if you can do
it, for God's
this
sake.
every time.
Yeah.
I don't think the Boks will give it to you guys that way.
No,
probably got to start better, and then Boks got to finish better. So maybe we'll have a weird flip of the script next week. Who knows?
Yeah. There was some interesting moments there when the Boks did get that yellow card warning, and there was a real conversation out in the field between the Wallabies. What do they do? Do they take the 3 at that point and get back a little bit closer? There was genuine conversation. They end up kicking for the corner, and they end up turning it over at the line out in the end. It was funny to hear Michael Hooper on Stan Sport here in Australia talking about, sometimes you wonder about 3 points not taken. It's like, Michael, come on, you're killing us.
Come on. You have no irony, no sense of irony. Okay.
There's no irony at all. So I still don't really know what to say. I don't. This is such an unexpected performance, such an unexpected to win that it's almost impossible to process it immediately, mate. It's I'm humbled by so many of the messages and responses that have come through on my socials from South African fans already. Thank you all if you're watching and listening. There'll be more feedback come back after this, so thank you all in advance. I don't know. I feel like I'm almost underselling this Wallabies performance because it was just so unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think this game is easily summarized.
No.
So I think your title is apt, because we're all dealing with something. We go, but I don't really truly believe that A happened and B will happen again.
No.
So
that's fair.
So we just watched. It was one of those great nights to be there live, in the sense of you saw something that people will talk about for a long time and go,
yeah.
People say like something's over. They go, well, don't say it's over, because remember Ellis Park in 2025 and the Wallabies.
Yes, true.
So it's
true.
out there.
Now,
it's that anomaly.
So there's big implications coming out of this result now. It's a bonus point win for the Wallabies. They've won by 15 points. The Boks will now lose top spot in the rankings. The Wallabies will get a huge jump out of this. I don't know how big it is. I've not done the calculations, but they might only need to win a couple of games this year, and they'll be locked in the top 6 for the Rugby World Cup rankings later this year. It's almost incomprehensible how good this win could be in terms of other calculations.
The size of this night, it's hard to overestimate it. What it will give the Wallabies in that most undefinable, ineffable quality of a team, which is winning when you shouldn't. Coming back is always a good thing. The world rankings, like you're saying, it just puts everything in a different light. Everything will taste better. And so wonderful win by the Wallabies. I've obviously watched ringside how many cruel losses you've suffered. So this is the one you put in your pocket and save it. Yeah.
No, we'll definitely do that. It's going to be an enjoyable Sunday in Australia for Wallabies fans. There's no doubt about that. The Pumas will host the All Blacks in Cordoba after we record this. We'll cover that off midweek on the 8-9 Combo Rugby Podcast. Round 2 of the Rugby Championship is obviously next weekend. Round 1 is yet to finish. Games in Cape Town and for the second game in Argentina. But I think that might be it done, mate. Anything else to add there from the stadium? I didn't even ask. Was it like two different atmospheres? You said a party early on, and then was it like a funeral through the second half? What was it like?
I mean, we're a bit thick-headed, so we were still partying even it was 22-19. But as of 22-19, we stopped partying, and it became more of a tense struggle, and then it became, sad, and then we also knew that it was over quickly. So, but like I said, there's probably about 60 sweet boxes around the park. They're all full. I can see everyone's silhouetted and they're still drinking.
Yeah.
So, it's the way we process grief. But I think in the end, everyone is very accepting of the idea that it's a very, very, very bad loss. One of the worst. It ranks there up the worst. So we don't want to. I don't want to come off sounding like that's diluting the congratulations of the Wallabies and the win, because that almost tails into that. And I couldn't post. I posted a lot of things, but they weren't going through. Obviously you have those people here. And so it didn't look like I was keeping up with what happened. I was just posting things in the first part. I haven't had time to post anything about the win except for one thing. So congratulations all.
I saw
see you in Cape Town.
The first thing I saw from you on full time was when you were clearly standing on the field during the warm-ups. I was like, oh, okay, so the mobile signal hasn't been great. I just want to show you. I just want to show you one image. This gentleman in the crowd. It was that, and we saw some crowd shots, and it was just the stunned look on faces. And we're looking at it for our podcast listeners. We're looking at an image of a box fan in the crowd, and he's just standing there, hands on hips, sullen-faced. He's in all the latest gear, and he just doesn't know what he's been watching. And I've got to say, mate, Wallabies fans feel exactly the same way right now.
It brought back bad memories of 2016, 2017. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Mate, let's put a pin in it. Let's call it the post-mortem done and behind us. You can tell us what you think by following Harry and I on the socials in our usual places. You can leave a comment for us on the 8-9 on the socials, on right here on the YouTube channel, on Spotify as well. If you're listening to us, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you think. Hit us up on the socials. Give us a like, give us a review, give us a share, all of that sort of stuff. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll all try and take this result in together. This is the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination that you didn't realize you needed in a rugby podcast. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones. Neither of us can believe what we've just seen, but we will be back in your ears in just a few days' time with another great rugby chat.
Come play with us.